Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so here we've got the R31 wagon diff, very similar to the sedan as far as mounting the drums are concerned, practically the same. The wagon's got slightly more interference with these brackets, so we're going to use this. So pretty much that's where the diff will sit at level, and you can see we've got the dust cover here. When we put it on, the dust cover points towards the rear of the car. I think it's maybe 15 degrees or something to that effect, I can't remember exactly. So what we are trying to do is get the VS Commodore backing plate, which holds the components or the bracketry for the drum handbrake, trying to get it to mount in that same way so that it will sit like that. So ignore the extra mount point here. This is a dual handbrake setup from RB Factory. Use code Fury Garage if you want a 10% discount. But you can see that this would bolt behind, or somewhere around here anyway, and that puts these mounting points directly here. So we're trying to achieve the same thing but with the backing plate for the VS brakes. So what I've done is knocked out these three bolts. They're just like just tap them with a hammer. Make sure you don't damage the thread, put a nut on the end or something, or use a dead blow, a soft hammer. So you tap them out, but you leave this one in here. So the reason we leave that one is because between the R31 dust cover and the VS Commodore dust cover, the one bolt position that doesn't change is this one. All the other ones need to be changed, but we can leave that one where it is. So with that knowledge, what we can do is bolt one of these brake caliper brackets to the VS Commodore backing plate dust cover setup thing, and you want to bolt it. So if this is the driver's side, you leave that bolt in there to do your mock-up and check everything fits, and then you do the same with to get the caliper, you know what I'm trying to say. So it's the forward lower bolt on the diff itself, and then you put the corresponding one in on the VS setup. So that's where the caliper will sit. This is, imagine this is just the factory R31. You can ignore that, and you put the bolt in the front, and then we're going to re-drill these 3 holes. So I'm going to do that now. Just I think they're about a 10mm hole or 12mm hole or something like that, probably smaller, probably 8, I don't know. But we're going to drill them out carefully so that it's dead center, and if we flip this over, you can see that we're pretty much bang on with that as well. So because it's one bolt holding it in, it's not perfectly centered, so do your best, or you can draw it out or whatever you need to do, but try and get these perfectly centered as you can. So that's where we're at. I'll drill those out and then we'll test fit it. Alright, and just like that, you should have four really poorly drilled holes. See, we've now got a multi-stud dust cover. So these two are quite close, so I might end up welding up the old holes, but for now I'm just going to test fit everything, see that it works. Okay, so all the studs are back in, so we'll just do a quick test fit with the old R31 dust cover. Fits well, brakes are in the right spot. See the diffs like this, so we'll take that off. Now we'll test fit our VS Commodore one with our freshly drilled studs. So we'll line up that front lower one first down there. And, oh gosh, thing's heavy. Alright, that one there. There we go. Look at that. So that lines up nicely, puts that in the same spot, and that looks like it's going to work. So next will be to assemble the drum setup. Make sure these clear all the mechanisms in the drum setup, and then go over to RB Factory, start designing a caliper mount to accept the 32 GTR caliper. And once that's done, just need a disc that will accept it as well. Be right as rain. Alright, so we got the drum brake assembly on, and as you can see, we've got a little bit of clearancing issues with these two mainly. I think these ones are going to be okay. So when you apply the handbrake, the drums will open up from the bottom and pivot out, and we also have some adjustment at the top, so we can twist this and open it up a bit. But I don't think it's going to be quite enough. So you can see that it's only a tiny little bit of interference. Just there. Same just there. So might be able to just give them a lick with the flap disc, and that should free us up a little bit. But it will mean that if you need to take this off at all, you'll have to do it with the like if you have to remove the axle or whatever, you probably have to disassemble all of your drums. Now the other issue is that plate there has to go between this plate and the nuts. So yeah, I really need enough space to fit a rattle gun on there, or rather, I don't know, I suppose I could stick a socket in there, I don't know. It's going to be interesting either way. So it's got a hole, that access hole there should give us access with a rattle gun. So I might try and give these a bit of a trim. Spring's going to be in the way though as well, isn't it? This is, the plot thickens a little bit, so I might have to think about it first. Alright, so I had a bit of a look and a think, and this wasn't quite seated properly, so I reseated that, and these look much more even now. This side clears by a lot, and if I do this, you can see the drums do work down the bottom here, and they're going to work at the top too. So I think my best option is going to be just to angle grind these out, so give them like a scallop up through here, because as long as I don't take out the tang at the top and the bottom of this, which looks like I have just enough space to keep it, and I can do something similar down the bottom, just angle grind just around there, then what I should be able to do is, looking at this, is install the backing plate, install the axle, tighten the nuts, and then assemble the drum on once these are already on the car. So it's going to be tricky, but I think it will work, and if it does, it'll definitely be worth it. So I'm going to take this apart, angle grind these first, make sure it all fits, see if I can get at them with the axle installed. If I can do it with a spanner, that'd be great, but I doubt it based on all these obstructions, so I'll probably just have to use a socket. So that will likely mean I need the spring out of there. So it'll have to be tricky getting the spring on this side and then stretching it all the way over here to hook it back on, but I think it will be worth it because you get the drum handbrake. GTR brake be sick, so let's give that a whirl and see what happens. So that's about the clearance I'm going to aim for. So you can see I've still kept that in place, plenty of meat here. It's just going to clearance that out, so it doesn't do a whole bunch, it just sort of presses against it, and that spring holds everything together. So I don't think that this will remove too much integrity, but if it does, these pads are hooked anyway, so once I give it a test run, if I see any damage, I can redesign it or figure it out or something, but this should work now. Let's do the same down here at the bottom and give it a trim. Alright, so you can see here, the drill, or the rattle gun rather, socket will fit. It just sort of pushes these out of the way a little bit, so that's all good. And then you can see I gave, let's see if we get this over. Anyway, I gave that a bit of a trim down there, that a bit of a trim up there. Nothing too fancy, just hopefully enough to get it to fit. Come on. Anyway, so that looks like it's going to be, oh god, that bottom one sucks. Oh, that one looks terrible. Top one looks like it'll be close. Anyway, we should be able to manipulate it enough to get it to work, so maybe this bottom one here just needs a bit more of a trim there, so I might tidy that up quickly, and then we'll buzz this off, throw the axle in, stuff it all together and see what happens. Alright, so it looked like my clearancing job at the top worked pretty well. One down at the bottom, you can see it through here. Maybe not so much. I mean, it's not terrible, but I missed it by a mile, so anyway. I managed to keep that pad on and then put the axle in, rattle it all up, and then I've put this shoe on second. So now I've just got to get the springs in and the adjuster in, and then it'll all be in there tight and it should work. Yeah, anyway, let's see.